Welcome to Highland Explorer. Today we are swapping the Highlands with the historic charms of Chester. We'll be hitting the streets and following a treasure trails route, so expect a dash of history, a sprinkle of mystery, and plenty of quirky Chester sights along the way. Ready for some adventure? Let's get exploring. First stop at Chester Cathedral. This towering masterpiece is essentially the Beyoncé of medieval architecture. Majestic, awe-inspiring, and probably just as expensive to maintain. Built over centuries because apparently they didn't believe in deadlines back in the Middle Ages, this cathedral is a glorious mix of Norman and Gothic styles, as if the architects couldn't decide and just threw every dramatic style they knew at it. Step inside and you're instantly greeted by towering arches and intricate stonework that practically scream, "You shall feel tiny in my presence." And tiny you shall feel, because this place is all about making you realise that medieval stonemasons were either artistic geniuses or masochists with a penchant for carving thousands of tiny details, just because they could. When we look up at the ceiling, we see a beautiful fan vaulting, a piece of art so complex it probably made some monk swear under his breath in Latin. And let's not forget the stained glass windows, which tell stories of saints, sinners, and a few faces that might actually be ancient selfies. Seriously, some look suspiciously like local nobles who clearly wanted to be remembered. This place even has its own Lego model, because what's a historic treasure without a replica in bright coloured plastic? So, if you're loving this little jaunt through Chester, hit that subscribe button for some more historic hijinks with Highland Explorer. Drop a like if you have ever felt unworthy in the face of centuries-old architecture, and tell us in the comments, what's the grandest building you've ever stood in? We'd love to know. Now, tucked right beside the Grand Chester Cathedral, you'll find the Cathedral Gardens, a spot that feels as if the garden gnomes are just waiting for you to leave, so they can get back to their medieval mischief. This is not your average flowerbed situation. We're talking 1,000-year-old walls keeping watch over vibrant blooms, tiny little hedges, and enough benches to give you pause and contemplate life. Or at least your snack options. There's a certain serenity here, even if it's occasionally broken by a tour guide recounting some gruesome medieval history at full volume. The garden paths meander just enough to make you feel like a minor explorer, discovering things like ancient tombstones and the odd Roman columns standing around like it's forgotten its original job. And if you're lucky, you might catch the monk's garden, where they've grown everything from vegetables to herbs, because even monks need their garnish game strong. As we leave the cathedral behind, we head to Chester Walls. Walking along these ancient Roman-built beauties is like stepping onto a stone treadmill of history, but without the gym membership and the judgmental stares. The walls loop around the city, offering unbeatable views of Chester's rooftops, where you'll inevitably see a few determined seagulls eyeing up tourist lunch options. The pièce de résistance, of course, is the East Gate clock, a stunning Victorian creation that is allegedly the second most photographed clock in the UK. Yes, Big Ben is hogging first place, but Chester's clock is practically screaming, "Look at me, I'm fabulous," with its ornate ironwork and fancy red and gold paint job. Every hour, tourists stop for selfies, squinting and grinning up at it, as if they've stumbled upon Buckingham Palace by accident. So take your time here, snap your own clock pic, and remember, you're standing on the walls that have been judging Western old-fashioned choices for almost 2,000 years. As we clamber down from the walls, we arrive at Chester Amphitheatre, where the Romans once gathered for a bit of classic blood and sand entertainment. Roaring crowds, gladiators squaring off, and possibly the odd unimpressed chicken pecking around the edges. These days, it's a bit quieter. Joggers now circle the arena, blissfully unaware they're running laps where people used to fight for survival. It's the ultimate workout motivation. Really, your ancestors might have run for their lives here, so maybe you can handle cardio today? We head on down to the Groves, Chester's charming riverside promenade along the Dee, a place where you'll find everyone from ice cream toting families to romantically inclined ducks. The Dee itself flows lazily past, as if it's here on holiday, while the Chester Weir cascades over rocks in a respectable attempt to look dramatic and picturesque. It's hard not to stand there and ponder life's big questions like, why is everyone else's ice cream twice the size of mine? Then there are the boat trips. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an 18th century aristocrat drifting down the river, well, here's your moment. Chester's trusty fleet of John D. Little riverboats is ready to sweep you along at a stately 3 miles per hour. Fast enough for a breeze, but slow enough for some solid people watching. Just lean back, listen to the occasional quack, and enjoy the high seas, or rather the mild ripples, of the River Dee. And as we walk along the riverbank, we come to the old Dee Bridge, a charming, ancient, slightly lumpy stone bridge that's been helping people across the Dee since before the invention of trousers. Probably. Maybe not. It's a bit narrow, making it perfect for testing your skills in medieval pedestrian dodgeball, but the views are worth every sidestep and near miss. We then sneak up St Mary's Hill. We come to Chester's own royal court zone, where the Crown Courts and Chester Castle stand like stoic British chaperones watching over the city. The courts have that no funny business look about them, likely discouraging any would-be mischief makers by sheer architectural glare. Just across, Queen Victoria herself presides in statue form, giving her classic, not amused expression, which seems directed at anyone even thinking about dawdling. Chester Castle, meanwhile, has long since retired from any real castle duties, and now sits quietly, perhaps reminiscent about the days when it was a serious fortress, rather than a backdrop for tourists' best castle adventure poses. From here, take in the panoramic views of the city, and feel free to imagine Queen Victoria judging you with real side-eye the whole way up. From here we head back into town and up Bridge Street and Watergate Street, Chester's historic double-decker streets, where you can shop, stroll, or people watch like a 19th century aristocrat. Here you've got the classic Chester Rows, a quirky mix of medieval shopping malls stacked on top of each other, with wooden beams creaking in that reassuringly, don't worry, I've stood here for 500 years kind of way. It's a strange joy to wander these terraces, peeking at shop windows above and below, while resisting the urge to declare, "Hear ye, good people of Chester," at startled passers-bys. Then we hit Chester Cross, a local meeting point where you can find everything from buskers strumming away to guides reeling off historic tales, both equally determined to keep your attention. Onwards through Northgate, and the scene shifts to a view of the Shropshire Canal, winding its way along like a narrow, scenic waterway to nowhere in particular. With the ancient walls overhead, you almost feel like you're in a medieval movie, minus the swords and oddly serious hairstyles. And there you have it, Chester in all its quirky, cobbled, and occasionally eyebrow-raising glory. We've strolled the walls, dodged a few over-enthusiastic pigeons, and even exchanged glances with Queen Victoria herself. Kind of. From ancient amphitheatres to riverside ramblings along the Dee, Chester's managed to cram about 2,000 years of history into one impressive walkable city. It's a place where every corner holds a surprise, every bridge a story, and every ice cream cone a critical decision. 2 scoops or 3. If this little jaunt around Chester has you itching to explore more of Britain's hidden gems, then hit the subscribe button and join us here on Highland Explorer. We're just getting started with our treasure trails, castle rambles, and inexplicable quest to find the best picnic spot in the kingdom. So subscribe, like, and keep exploring. Who knows what mischief we'll stumble into next.